Mukarem has gained a reputation since the founding of the Concord as a place of wild occurrences. Between the invasion of the region's only settled township, the Corsair city off the coast, the vast swathes of rebels and the arcane laboratory, it is certainly a region that is proving a thorn in the Concord side. As the Concord, particularly the people of Andash, attempted to appease the rebel nomads of the Almai, disturbing rumours emerged from the Idrian Cabal site within the centre of the region. Strange magics are hardly abnormal for the arcanists of the Idrian Cabal, who meddle with such things as point of order, but tales of warped experiments and even heresy have begun to encircle the taverns of Andash and beyond. The Almai, perhaps emboldened by the Concord support, are driven to protect the land they see as theirs and have done so at the end of their blade. Thousands of Almai Shesti warriors have assaulted the Idrian site. The arcane art of war has clashed with the agility of the hawk, and Mukarem appears to be sliding deeper into chaos. Battle of the Glassfield. While it is difficult to form a clear tale of what happened at the Battle of the Glassfield from the rumours that are abound, there are certainly broad strokes of carnage known to those who would care to ask. The Almai forces were composed of anywhere between a few hundred and nearly 1,500 Shesti warriors and local mercenary draws from Andash and beyond. The cohort, under the command of Karas Almai Elmetricasa del Eastwind, had been keeping a cordon on the eastern reaches of the Idrian site since winter last year, staying beyond the blood-glass obelisks that irregularly mark the edge of the Idrian claim and the effects of their magical experimentation. Even a year ago, the two groups were clashing, but even then only at a distance with posturing of armed men. Word has it that the Almai are claiming no provocation led to the assault, at least no provocation beyond the Idrian Cabal's presence and their perceived blight upon the lands of the Priado expanse. Early in the morning in late February, under a cool morning sun and amidst a fierce wind, the forces of the Almai and their allies launched an assault across a wide crescent, seeking to cross the lands ruined by Idrian meddling and bring flame to the structures at the heart of the site. As they went, they brought with them embers that licked the ground and the dried summer grass. The Shesti would be flanked by the Inferno as their ancestors did. For their part, the Idrian Cabal responded with cacophonous violence but in a disorganised manner. Apprentices ran wildly about, securing devices of measurement and magnitude, while those among them who knew of battle readied to bring an unmaking upon the nomads of Mukarem. The battle changed immensely when the Shesti crossed the threshold, entering into the strange place affected by the whims of the Cabal member many months prior. Under their boots and sandals, grass shattered like glass, bleeding a crystalline clear fluid that mixed with the blood of the Shesti. As they struggled to cross the expanse of razor-like prairie, arcane powers siphoned the flames that burned across the mundane field, striking out at the nomads. Amidst the flame and fury was a bite of Bordavarian arrows, a force of rangers, clad in the grey-green cloaks and led by a fierce young woman, added to the Cabal's response. But the same flames that were now feeding their destructive magic were also bearing down on them. More and more of the Cabalists were forced to push away from the defence against the Shesti to fuel wards against the Inferno. As the barrage began to lift, the Shesti crossed more of the accursed ground, and the words of Kara sharpened their minds. "We are Shesti. We are Hawkborne. We will fall upon them like lightning, and like lightning we cannot be turned aside." The forces of the Almai flooded into the buildings of the Cabal and struck them with grievous blows. As the Shesti swirled through the compound like a sandstorm, they were aided by Concordian forces, and Dashi citizens who had seen fit to support the cause of these nomadic brethren, or perhaps simply caught up in the fury of the day. Magic clashed with blade as the warriors of the Almai clashed with the scattered apprentices of the Cabal, sabres breaking through arcane shields and biting home. As a fast-moving brush fire passed over the battle and moved, the Idria Cabal were no longer divided. Their most powerful members, including the second apprentice, Skias the Winder, turned their attention to the Shesti. When the dust and smoke cleared, the structures of the Idrian site still stood. Hundreds of Shesti were slain, either impaled on the flesh-seeking glass of the field where the experiment was originally conducted, or split asunder by Cabal magics. But the Cabal are grievously wounded. Many of the simple workers and minor apprentices are bloody corpses amidst charred buildings. The ability for the Cabal to complete their goals in Mukarem are painfully in question, whatever those goals be. This conflict continues to burn on the west. It is unlikely that either party has had their fill of battle given how close both came to destroying the other, but unless the Concord makes its presence known, it is unclear who will emerge the victor. Game information. There will be decisions related to the Battle of the Glass Field for the Senator of Mukarem and the Champion of the Tribes. The escalation of the conflict between the Idrian Cabal and the Almai looks to continue, and the Concord, both the War Chamber, the Senate, and the Andashi, will have difficult decisions to make in regards to it. The strangeness of the battle allows word of it to travel far, and it would be reasonable for any influential character to know the details as presented here, likely heard over tavern talk or similar. Might of the Headmaster. With the dust settled, the Cabal appears to have reacted with open hands. Representatives from the Idrian site in Mukarem have made their way to both Nazafeza and Obregon, seeking out Concordian magistrates to report the crimes against them, to recruit additional mercenaries, and to purchase supplies to rebuild. To all onlookers, the Cabal is presenting an image of a reasonable and aggrieved party, assaulted while conducting important works. Interestingly, the Idrian Cabal claim to have captured Karas Elmai, the Almai's aggressive military commander, during the assault. They claim that he is in good health but is being held until the Cabal can be sure that he won't continue to be a problem. To those that have aided them, the Cabal continues to make overtures of thanks, often with magical artifacts or coins. More and more traders and janissaries in Obregon are becoming interested in the strange magi who are more than capable of making good on their deals. But at the same time, the rumours of the Idrian site and its research are foreboding. The Concord lacks any real information about what is going in within the field of glass or the laboratories of the Magi, and it appears that the Cabal isn't budging on this. But their willingness to talk and engage in business bodes well for the Concord, and if not the magistrates who have to unpick this particular circumstance. Perhaps most interesting is the fact that Skyos the Winder, second apprentice to Theminar, master of idiomancy and archmagus of the Word, intends to travel to Passage. A representative from the Cabal has not been to Passage since the original deal was made between the once Senator of Mukarem and the foremost apprentice of Theminar. Given the circumstances, it is unlikely that this will be a simple visit. Game information. There will be decisions in regards to the Idrian Cabal for the Archmage of the Shard Circle, the Headmaster of the Andashi School of Gifts, the Senator of Mukarem, and the Senator of the Tribelands. Skyos the Winder will be attending the Winter Summit. More information on their journey can be found on the Wind's entry, Journey On. The agreement between the Senator of Mukarem and the Idrian Cabal was one entered to privately without a larger treaty due to the Concord's lack of an embassy within the Cabal. There is an argument to be had that such an agreement is invalid and the Senator went outside of their functions of the Foreign Service. However, attempts to undo the agreement would certainly anger the Idrian Cabal. The Concord would continue to have difficulty managing its relationship with the Idrian Cabal in the absence of an embassy. The character who supported the Idrian Cabal will receive additional information in regards to the Battle of the Glass Field and generous rewards for their support. Hawkborne. For their part, the Almai are standing by their actions. Representatives of the separatist group in Obregon are making their case known to those who support them, that the agreement with the Idrian Cabal puts all of Mukarem at risk for no gain. They accuse the absent Senator Westwind of corruption in taking the agreement originally, saying that the man was lured in with offers of continued funds or arcane enchantment of his person. The Almai are quite emboldened by recent events and by Concordian support on the battlefield. Numerous Andashi mercenary forces aided the Almai in their assault and in the recovery after the battle. To those who have aided them, the Almai welcome them with open arms. Offers of being welcomed into their clan allegiance, and if not, at least a reward of coin and resources controlled by the group's extensive network of cattle clans, wilderness wanderers, and hillside camps. The group continues to proclaim their separation from the Concord, claiming that their actions are their own, and that the Concord has offered them no support in attempting to reclaim Mukarem for the Andashi people. Whether this action has been taken to put distance between the Concord and the violence of the Almai, or to use the attack as an indicator of the Almai's sovereignty is unclear. While the future remains unclear, the present is known. Concordian magistrates, prospectors and visitors remain blocked on the edges of the Almai territory. But unlike previous summits, there is change on the wind. The elusive Magli Almai, leader of the Almai, is making their way to summit with a small group of advisors. The group is public about their desire to discuss the future of the Concord and the Almai, whatever form that may take. Game information. There will be decisions in regards to the Almai for the Senator of Mukarem, the Senator of the Tribelands, and the Champion of the Tribes. Magli Almai and a cohort of advisors will be travelling to the Winter Summit. More information about their journey can be found in the Winds of the World entry, Journey On. The Almai remain a divisive group in the Concord, both figuratively and literally. While their cause for nomad representation and recognition is widely supported, particularly by the Andashi heroes, these recent actions may be a step too far. Characters are welcome to show support for the Almai through wearing of orange and blue braids on their person, an act that has become common across many realms. On the advice of your solicitor. Ever since the Almai declared their separation from the Concord and lay claim to nearly a third of Mukarem, the Concordian magistrates have been hamstrung in the appropriate response. For many magistrates, this is a clear act of treason, and there are even rumours of kidnapping and murder on behalf of the group's Shesti warriors. But it is this same level of risk, particularly when the group seeks support from Concordian heroes, that makes it difficult to enter the Mitrika Sarais and begin arresting ringleaders. Concordian magistrates have been unable to arrest anyone over the last 18 months in regards to the circumstance, despite continued statements that the group is contravening Concordian law. It is likely that the matter will come to a head at this summit, as a writ of investigation has already been penned, empowering the captain of the Passage Watch to investigate Magli Almai for the crime of treason. As much as the case of the Almai is being argued in the Senate, the War Chamber, and the streets of the Andashi camp, it seems it must also be argued in court. It is known that Magli Almai is travelling with at least one Shesti warrior, and an altercation between the nomads of Mukarem and the Passage Watch is certainly possible. Further complicating matters are the Concordian heroes that lead forces alongside the Almai. The reasons each of these individuals have for supporting the Almai are likely their own, as is their involvement in the assault on the Idrian site, but the Concord is not at war with Idrian Cabal, making actions against them legally dangerous. Concordian citizens are bound by Concordian law, but foreigners are not necessarily protected by it. While the exact circumstances of the battle, these heroes' involvements in the battle, their reasons, and the exact protections the Idrian Cabal are due or not due are a tangled web of legal philosophy, it does not change the fact that writs of investigation are also waiting, bearing ominous crimes such as treason, murder, and criminal damage. Game information. The legal status of the Almai has been massively complicated by the Battle of the Glass Field and the presence of Concordian heroes within it. It is likely that a series of very political trials will come forward this summit, as the Concordian magistrates are granted some amount of chance to bring Concordian law to bear in these circumstances. Writs of investigation that empower the captain of the watch to investigate a crime, asking questions and seeking evidence, have been penned for the following characters: Elamar the Bard, Miraz al-Ramil, and Ishan of Mukarem, all for treason, murder, assault, and criminal damage separately. The captain of the watch and their deputies should be prepared to conduct these investigations and others following their election. Deputies will also need to be re-endorsed by the new captain of the watch should the position change, and are requested to attend the first Senate session of the summit, to be re-endorsed or to return their sashes if no captain is elected. The other councils of the Concord have a number of options available to them to offer support or condemnation during this time. While the legal status of the Almai as traitors or not will heavily depend on discussions between the Almai and the senators of Mukarem and the Tribelands, the Senate could condemn the acts prior to that, clarifying the Concord's position and empowering magistrates to act against the Almai. The Church could also condemn or endorse the Almai through declarations, granting the individuals involved greater or less support for claims of religious clemency. The Senate could also clarify the Concord's position through a declaration of war on the Idrian Cabal. Doing so would likely result in minimal punishments, if any, regarding the actions taken during the Battle of the Glass Field. This would likely result in a response from the Idrian Cabal. The Senate power of the Grand Inquest cannot currently be targeted against the Almai due to the Civil Service's fears that such an inquest would place too many magistrates and their assistants in danger. If the might of the Almai could be broken or reduced, such an action would be possible. A grand inquest into the Idrian Cabal site in Mukarem would be possible. There are far less of them present in Mukarem, but it would have its own consequences. With both the Almai and the Idrian Cabal weakened, a single Concordian army of at least 4,000 strength could sweep either group from Mukarem. This would not be conducted without losses, as both the Almai and the Idrian Cabal are powerful combatants despite their wounds. Losses would be expected to be considerable but not catastrophic, and civil service within the war chamber estimate between 500 and 700 casualties. An army within the region would need to take a hostile order and make a target against either the Almai or the Idrian Cabal. If a general or admiral were to take this order against the Almai, they would have the support of the Concordian magistrates, a final crackdown on the separatists of Mukarem. If a general or admiral would take this order against the Idrian Cabal without a declaration of war, that would be treason. Any players with questions about the above events or the Concordian legal system are welcome to email the Concord team at concordplot@gmail.com or speak with a member of the story team. And that concludes my reading of In the Reflection of My Enemies. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time.